Welcome back to a new video. So I don't think I'll spend most of this video talking about the actual workouts. These were the last couple of workouts before, or really the last week of school, but kind of led into the program that I'm starting, or I have started. I'm on the finished 3 days of it. It's essentially going to be very similar training to what is going on here, but it's going to be a linear progression for 4 weeks that repeats at the end of the 4 weeks, either with the same exercises or adaptations. And the goal, of course, is to get stronger, but is to just work on various repetitions and various, just increase the volumes that I'm doing, all kinds of just general training stuff. But that's a lot more that I'll talk about as those workouts start to happen. These are all workouts prior to that. But when I got to kind of the end of this week, I was like, all right, I'm kind of ready just to start doing repetitions, and my shoulder is feeling good enough to start doing multiple reps in the snatch and all of that stuff. And I kind of have been, but kind of at this juncture, I wanted to, or at the end of this week, I wanted to start pursuing more structured stuff. Not that what I was doing wasn't, necessarily planned out, or some stuff that I thought about in a way that at least I hope was intelligent. But in this way, it's kind of like, all right, here's what I want to accomplish in a week, and then here's what I want to do in the next week, and just kind of push up all of the things. But yeah, I'll talk more about that in the next one. But there's a lot of, I guess, life changes that are going to be happening this summer. The first one, and a really positive one, is that my grad school classes are starting next week. I'm doing two this summer, which is the amount that's recommended to do two in each academic period. So the summer, fall, and spring. Definitely for this first summer, fall, and spring, I'm going to be doing two. My first class starts next week, and I started one of the lectures today, and I may start a little bit of the reading early just to be ahead of that. But our first test in that course isn't going to be until June 4th, so we have an extra week for the first one. But then each week, I believe there is a test after that, and then there's some movies, and there's lots of stuff to it. But it looks pretty manageable, and it's a 5-week course, so it should feel like it goes pretty fast. But I have that one and a second one that's starting on June 16th. And I forget what that one is, but this one's sports psychology and stuff. So it should be some interesting stuff to be learning about, and could be stuff that I could apply to my own training potentially. But who knows about that? It'll at least just be interesting information to learn about. But that will be one big thing that I'm going to be doing this summer. The other is, I guess, probably an even bigger thing, and I don't even know how to describe it, if it's a good or bad thing, but it is a thing, and that is, potentially looking for a job at a different school district. On the last day of school, unbeknownst to me, I was not really informed properly prior to this, or at least in a way that I thought was respectful. And I was told that instead of being a phys ed teacher at the elementary that I'm at now, or being moved to being a phys ed teacher at the junior high, which was a previous communication, I was told that I was going to be moved to an intervention specialist for social communication. So that is like a behavior unit, and moved to there for the next school year. And it doesn't really align with the previous experience that I've had within the district, nor was it something that was communicated to me but prior to me being given a letter that said so. And just based on various experiences directly after that, as far as the communication or lack thereof communication prior and after that, the decision kind of makes me want to pursue a district that I think would be more stable and a better place to be at than the current one that I'm at. So that is something that I'm pursuing, and will be pursuing throughout this summer to see what opportunities arise. If there is a better one, worst comes to worst, I do have a position currently, and something in a field that I'm qualified for, in a building that I wouldn't necessarily be opposed to working in, because it would be in the same building that I was at prior. But as I pursue other opportunities this summer, that is obviously one change that could potentially be happening. Whether I move to special education within another district, or move to physical education at another district, it's something that's just going to be a process. So, because you can view it as positive or negative in different ways. I would have loved to continue the same position that I had done the last 4 years, but unfortunately, there's just our district is not really good at spending money, or I guess you could say is too good at spending money, and they kind of had to drastically change the district. I believe over a third of all teachers were cut, and they have to cut even more. My position that I did last year was eliminated, so instead of two phys ed teachers at our elementary, they're going to one, and yeah, there's a lot of big changes in the district with that, but I don't really want to harp too much on that, but that is something that I'm going to be having to figure out this summer. Applying to different places, interviewing. Hopefully, I've had one interview. I haven't heard anything back from them, but it is what it is with that. Sometimes schools say we'll let you know on a certain day, and then they don't. And maybe they will call on Tuesday since Monday is a holiday, since they said they were supposed, or they said they would let me know on Friday. So who knows with that? But I kind of you assume the worst and hope for the best, and you just keep applying to different places. But the kind of the main things I'm looking for are districts that I view as more stable and location wise are either close to where I live, or if they're further away, they're more eastward of my house, since the gym I go to is east of my house. And the reason I want to be biased towards that is that I don't want to drive 30 minutes back to my house and then an additional 30 minutes to go to the gym, particularly in the winter when I'm going to be going to the gym most days of the week, and have 2 hours of driving in addition to working full time. And that's just a lot of time to spend in the car when already it's the gym's 30 minutes away or 35, and so you're spending at least an hour in the car to get to the gym and to get back. So trying to minimize as much as that additional commute as possible, particularly in those winter months, because it's just not ideal, particularly if the weather's bad, but just in general, as far as just gas and wear and tear on the car and stuff, and just time in the car, just time that you can spend doing other things. So thankfully, I have the facility at my house, and something I'm looking at when my roommates who are getting married next week. So I have that, a wedding to attend to next week. I suppose that's another really positive thing. I have that to go. I'm going to be as part of the wedding, so I'm going to be in that. But after they eventually buy a house and I have the house to myself, I think one of the bedrooms might turn into a gym. Now the issue that I have, and I can't really measure it too well. I suppose I could go out and just get a tape measure and eyeball everything, but because I'm taller, I'm 5'11", holding a weight in like a overhead press or a jerk position, the plates are gonna be pretty close to the ceiling. Now I theoretically think that I might have enough space, definitely for snatching, and obviously for squats and for pulls, but potentially for jerks. And if I could do clean and jerks in the house, then I can turn one of the bedrooms into a I don't really want to say his name, but it's Brooks, G Brooks, on Instagram. And if you're into weightlifting, you probably know who I'm talking about. But he has a name that is of a performance actor of in different variety. But he has a little home set up, and I kind of looked at that as kind of a model of what I can do. But with 3 bedrooms, the bedrooms, like the square footage is plenty big enough. It's more so the ceiling, and I don't know if I took out the flooring to put rubber tiles down and stuff like that, if that would give me additional space below. I don't think it would really do that much, but it could give me a couple more inches. So there is that, but that's more of a long-term thing. And doing that would allow me to have a place in the winter to be able to train, so then that would be able to save me on gas. And I would still want to go to a physical gym, since the gym I'm going to is actually moving to a new space, and it's going to be like a new facility. So it's certainly going to be like an upgraded place and a nice place to train. But if the weather's really bad, or if I have a really light session, or I had a meeting after school and it's going to be really late, it just allows me to save time that I would be in the car, or just literally save money on gas. So I'm not driving, particularly in the winter, every single day to the gym if I don't need to, since once it gets too cold, then training out in the shed becomes really, really difficult. And for weightlifting stuff, it becomes, I would say, almost impossible, or at least really painful on my hands. For like squats and pulls, you can kind of do that year round, no matter what the temperature is. It just takes so much longer to warm up, and it just feels a lot worse. But for like squats and pulls, if you're really bundled up, you can kind of deal with it. But I just, obviously it's not my preference, and if you have the ability, it's usually better to go to an actual physical space where it's just warmer in general, so it's just not a factor that you have to deal with. But the next 3 videos, so I'll be working on those, getting those edited today or tomorrow. Those will all be kind of just talking about the workouts that I have, that I'm starting, the program that I'm doing, and kind of talk about the goals of each day, and the progressions that I have within there. But trying to think if there's any other major things that are happening this summer. I talked about grad classes, potentially looking for another job, and not my wedding, but the wedding I'm attending next week. And well, I think that's really about it. But still got a lot of time, so I think we'll talk more about the teaching pursuit potentially. So the long-term prognosis of teaching career is that I want to continue to teach because I enjoy it. It's a position that I think I'm relatively skilled at now, being 8 years in, and so the idea of pursuing a job in a different field is a very low priority and a thing that I don't think will happen, hopefully ever. Like, hopefully I just get to a new school district and I can work there till I retire. That's what I wanted to do here, but things change, and sometimes those things are out of your control. But I am pursuing a master's, and that's because I want to continue to teach, whether it's in special ed or in physical education. But if I didn't want to start or want to continue teaching, I probably still would until my master's is done, regardless. But I don't think, when I look at other jobs that I could potentially do, there's not a lot that would pay anywhere near to what I'm making now. And I'm a teacher, so it's not like I'm making $500,000 a year, but I make good enough money for the life I want to live. And if I were to go to a different position, there's not a lot that wouldn't be a major step back. And not only would it be a step back from the there's the straight pay of it, but the benefits would be worse. You'd be working in the summer, and it would just be in a different field that I might not enjoy as much. So there's a lot of negatives to that, but that is something that theoretically, if I wasn't able to find a job in I didn't want to work at the previous district, I could do. But it's not something that I really ever envisioned myself doing something else different. I've always wanted to be a teacher or a professional athlete, so I suppose that was the other vision, was play sports or be a teacher. And I'm very lucky to have gotten the opportunity to be at the elementary level, because a lot of my student teaching experiences were at the high school level. Like, my regular student teaching was up at the high school, where I did all my phys ed and special ed stuff at. Throughout college, we had experiences at different levels of education, so it wasn't as if I'd never worked with elementary kids in general. But that, and also being a camp counselor in the summers, you work with elementary aged kids. But just being in an elementary building, I just realized that it was such a great opportunity to be in, and one that just allowed me to develop a lot as a teacher, and hopefully one that I can continue. But at the same time, I'm not opposed of other opportunities. I did my student teaching at the high school level, and I enjoyed that level of education, and just being in with older students that you just do different things with older students than with younger ones as far as the curriculum goes. But also not being opposed to being at the middle school level, because you kind of get a little mix of the elementary as well as the high school. So I'm not opposed to anything, and I'm very glad that I got 8 years in at the elementary level, and I got 8 years in a district that I liked, and the last 4 being in really my dream job, and working with great people. I don't know if I'll be able to find that again anywhere. I hope to, but it's going to be they set a high bar with the people that I worked with in the last couple years, and you kind of just go through it. You go through a lot of emotions when you lose stuff, and being with same group of people for 4 years. I mean, I've worked in the district now 8 years, like I've mentioned, and that is longer than I was in high school or in college. It's the longest thing that I've done. I've done it longer than I've done weightlifting. So it's a, it's one of those weird things that when you've been a part of something for so long, to even think about, being a part of something else is just it's a weird and uncomfortable feeling, and I don't like it. I frankly don't like it. And unfortunately, a lot of stuff that happens is not in your control, and all you can really control is the steps you take after and how you react to it and the decisions that you make after. And often those decisions are not fun ones, and I think that's where things get difficult, is when you have to make decisions that you don't want to make, that are difficult, but you have to make in order to pursue what you want at the end of the day, which is, at least in my case, stability and happiness. Because I like teaching, but I like it to be a predictable and stable environment as far as knowing where I'm going to be or what I'm going to teach or the group of people that I'm going to work with. Obviously, there's things that change during each day and adaptations that you need to make, as you're going through a school year. But when you're worried about if you are going to be cut, or if there's going to be a major realignment of buildings, or if the district itself is not going to exist, like it's I think it's Marzano's hierarchy. Like when you're worried about those kind of basic level survival things, then life becomes really stressful. And that's where, thankfully I'm very lucky that I bought my house in 2017, so like I'm not worried about housing issues. I have a car that's paid off, so it's like I'm not worried about that. My parents set me off really well when I moved down here to be successful, and I think I have for the most part, and hopefully will continue to do so. But I wanted to be like my dad in a lot of ways. He's worked with the same school district for, I believe, 30 years. As long as I've been alive, he's been teaching. So I think every year I'm born is another year that he's been teaching. So he's at least been teaching 30 years. So he's close to his retirement, but he was at the high school level for a number of years when they moved him down to the middle school, but within the same district and within the same position. And I guess I was hoping to be at the reverse of that, and had tried to figure out things for myself, waiting for things to get more stable in the district. But unfortunately, that was the incorrect decision for myself, because that was something that was taken advantage of from me, or by other people towards me, that I wanted to wait to figure things out based on what information we're being told. And unfortunately, that was something that I guess I shouldn't have done. But can't know that until after they do it, since you trust people. But unfortunately, people take advantage of that, which is something that happens in life, I suppose. But it's 18 minutes in, and there's blank space at the end. Somehow I managed to talk for 18 minutes, and I probably could talk for another hour, just rambling about life and teaching and whatnot. But that's going to be it for this one. I'm sorry for the more somber mood of the video, but I'm just kind of in a somber mood lately, and probably will be for a little bit until life gets a little bit more figured out. But I'll talk a little bit about that, but not every video is just going to be about my teaching woes. It's just going to be about training, more I think more exciting stuff than stuff that's more, I guess, depressing in nature, more sad, I guess, in a sense. It's not necessarily depressing, but anywho, that's going to be it for this one. I'll talk to you on the next video, and I hope you all have a great day. Peace.